Ladies and gentlemen, the world's number one sports and recreation podcast is back. Cheap Heat. I am not your forever 24/7 champion, Peter Rosenberg, but my name is Emilio Sparks, and I am the producer of this program, and I come to you from Staten Island, New York. Joining me from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the physically large Statguy Greg.
You're never 24/7 champion.
And all the way from Los Angeles, California, your forever Divas champion, Brian Dipperstein.
Wow. Is that what you think of me?
You think you know people in this town.
I guess there's nothing wrong with that. I'll take any champion. Okay.
Let me tell you something. I had a goal. There was 2 championships I would have held if I was a WWE superstar. I never wanted to be world champ. Intercontinental champ would have been great. And then I probably wanted to be, if I was booked correctly, a Divas champ. Because at that time, Santino Marella had a championship opportunity to be Divas champ. It was a title that you could. It's a title that you could have really had some creative liberties with.
He was dangerously close to that title.
Dude, you could have booked me or you or Greg as one of those champions that we were never going to win a gold. Never. But we get the opportunity to go for the Divas championship. It's 1,000,000 to 1 shot. It's like Rocky. It would have been like Rocky.
All right.
Come on.
All right, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here.
Well, technically I can't because I'm with you guys today. We're doing something together. Rosenberg is MIA. He had a thing, a contractually obligated thing. He couldn't get out of it, and we have to record for yous. The cheap heat, the peckerhead.
And the people love a 3-man booth here, so we gotta.
What are your thoughts on the 3-man booth? Like, do you guys actually like 3-man booths in professional wrestling?
It depends on the 3 men.
I prefer a 2-man. I've always preferred a 2-man booth.
Same.
It's an easy answer.
You know what it is? There's just too many voices sometimes trying to get in. And, when you're having somebody talk to you on the headphones and they're trying to direct you as you're trying to speak on live television, I think sometimes it can just get too congested. So that's why I do prefer a 2-man booth. But besides, we're also old men who are used to Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross.
From what it sounded like on the watch along, Dip wasn't a big Jerry Lawler guy.
I was never a big Lawler guy. I hated the 95 run or the 93 run. The 93. Yeah. I hated it. I was bored to tears. Was it 95? 95.
Which one?
95,
with the 95. Kiss My Foot match and all of that stuff? And the Knights of the Court? Yeah. I don't know if that was that 95. Greg, look that up. You're the stat guy. I just never I never understood it. I just never saw the appeal of Jerry the King Lawler. I was never a Memphis guy. I wasn't into Memphis style wrestling.
Yeah. These Memphis guys, they hype him up and like Jerry the King is the greatest and blah, blah, blah.
You think you know people in this town.
I wasn't into
it. But you know what it was? I think a lot of fans from the Attitude Era really enjoyed the dynamic of Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler because I think it was just 2 starkly different personalities.
Well, Jerry the King Lawler was all horny most of the time.
Well, look what was on TV back then.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. Like Jim Ross was great at calling the action, and the King was just like puppies.
I mean, at one point, one of their talents took her top off when she was covered in some sort of
covered
in some sort of what was it? Was it pudding? Was it mud? Was it water?
Covered in pudding.
It could be anything at any given moment. Sometimes it was pudding. Sometimes it was shaving cream.
I'm going to come to Staten Island or wherever the hell you are and cover you in pudding.
You want to cover me in pudding? Is that a sick kink you have, Brian?
No, I don't have a sick kink, a pudding kink.
I don't know. You live in the hills of Beverly, but I don't know. There's some sick kinks out there.
If the Divas champ was to cover you in pudding, then that's what's going to happen.
I mean, you know what? Then baptize me in tapioca, then. What can I tell you? So did you watch? See, this Rosenberg has me saying this now in my head.
You are such a
it's Rosenberg's fault.
It's Rosenberg's fault. So did you gentlemen watch Monday Night Raw last night on Netflix? Second week in a row. What did you guys think?
What
were your thoughts?
I watched it.
What were your thoughts?
I don't. So they're not doing the advertisements in the ring on SmackDown, only on Raw. I wonder if that's going to change. I don't know.
Look, that has to be a Netflix thing.
Yeah, it must be. It must be. The episode was fine. I wouldn't say the opening segment. I like the dynamic between look, you say whatever you want about CM Punk. He's amazing on the mic. The man knows how to do a compelling promo. That he, the Seth Rollins CM Punk blood feud appears as if it's something that's going to continue. Now we have Drew McIntyre in the mix. He's going to fight Seth next week. But the idea of the three of them in something makes a ton of sense to me. It feels like the perfect sort of it feels like the perfect triple threat scenario going into these major pay-per-views that we're seeing.
So let me ask you this, Dip.
Yeah.
Is the idea of the three of them in something?
I wouldn't say it's an egg everything.
Okay.
I would say it's a typical regular run-of-the-mill everything.
I think it has to be honest with you, I think it works to a degree, right? Where and he said it in the press conference after the first Raw. He was like, I'm a 46-year-old man. My body, I'm paraphrasing, by the way. My body just isn't where it's, supposed to be, but my mind is still sharp. So I think you put in Drew McIntyre as a placeholder for Punk when he can wrestle and when he feels up to it and he's healthy and he moves around. I don't think we're going to get CM Punk weekly. So I think when you have, McIntyre in the mix, him and Seth can do more of the physical stuff when needed week to week. And then you get Punk at Rumble. I think that's the next time you're going to see CM Punk in a wrestling ring is probably going to be in Rumble. And I think the three of them cost each other an opportunity at a world championship at Rumble.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no way any of the three of them are going to win that Rumble. As much as I would like to see one of them pull it down, and those are the heavy favorites, or among the heavy favorites, I'm with you, Sparks. I think they're going to end up costing each other. They're going to be so focused on each other that none of them see that big WrestleMania sign in the sky, and none of them get to do that point at the end of the night.
I was just going to say, I could see them risking throwing themselves out of the Rumble, risking their own safety in the Rumble to get rid of each other. Is that the spot we see for the three of them?
Oh, yeah. And then I think the three of them somehow make their way to Elimination Chamber, and I think the three of them cost each other, again, a championship. And then I think you see a triple threat match at WrestleMania, Seth, Punk, and Drew. I think that's the match.
Or do Seth and Drew end up aligned by WrestleMania, right?
I don't think so.
I think they common enemy.
All right,
Seth,
the enemy
Seth,
of your
Punk,
enemy
and Drew,
is your friend.
Seth, Punk, and Drew triple threat?
Oh, yeah, that's going to me. I would like to see that at Mania. I know a lot of people want to see CM Punk win a championship right now, but I don't think so. I don't think he needs to be a world champ. I think Punk is working best right now in these little feuds where he doesn't need to be the focus, which is a champion. Because look what we got last night. We got Gunter and Jey Uso. But
what's the payoff with the favor? The favor is what will pay off at WrestleMania, is in my opinion.
Does it have to be WrestleMania, though? Could it be when Roman is champ? Because what's the favor? Is it the favor of is facing Roman Reigns for a championship? Is it an opportunity for a championship?
It raises another good question, though, is how do we get back to Roman as champion? I don't see it happening anytime. I don't see Cody dropping the title before WrestleMania or after it. So
but do they run back Cody Roman 3 this year? Do you want to see that in Vegas?
No. I don't think they run that back.
I'm down to see it. I'm down to see the trilogy.
That's not going to happen.
I don't think they do it.
This soon? No. Yeah. I think what happened was The Rock got so busy, and now there's no plans for him. That's the rumor for WrestleMania. There's no plans. And
that
now
we're a lie. I don't know why we even still entertaining that.
Well, listen, Moana 2 has been a hit, and the live action Moana is coming out, and he's filming that, and he has a couple of other. Dip's a Hollywood guy. He knows numbers.
He'll be back for WrestleMania. There's not a chance he'll be WrestleMania.
He'll be there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't think they do that now. I think they do that probably next year. But again, maybe I could.
This
I
is
might
it.
be wrong.
This is The Rock's. This is it. I mean, how many more years is The Rock going to be in the ring, taking bumps, doing his thing?
That's the question right there. That he doesn't have that much more time to kick the can down the road. Now, I will say this too about Monday Night Raw, especially when you juxtapose it with last week. This felt like the Raw that we are used to. It felt like we got our Raw back. We got the Penta debut. We got a new women's champion. We got a lot of in-ring action. The strange thing was that we got 2.5 hours of it, as opposed to a 3 hours or even a 2 hour show.
I thought that was perfect.
I thought so too, and I love that. Just
2:37 to be exact. 2 hours and 37 minutes. When that match finished at the end, done.
That's a perfect length.
No filler. No, okay, we need to figure out what to do. No extra advertisement, stretching it out. Get in, do what you got to do, give as much show as you can, and get out.
Oh my God.
This is the thing we were talking about. This was Rosenberg's commitment.
Live from the delivery room. Oh, you know the effing vibes.
Hey guys, did you miss me?
Natalie, would you be cool with us just live streaming this on YouTube for the Kliq for Rosenberg Wrestling?
I mean, this is why we're here.
Well, we
got to give the people what they want.
By the way, and the amazing thing would be if we go through the whole delivery and then she gives birth to a hand.
Yeah.
Would that be major or what?
Oh man! So congratulations early, man.
Well, listen, we can't accept them yet because it's all going down. Natalie, how's that epidural feeling right now?
Yeah.
Oh, she's feeling good. Okay, so I imagine that you guys were going to do like a birth in a pool in the house and Rocky and the bear.
No, this is the complete opposite of it.
That doesn't sound luxurious at all. Birth in the pool in the house.
If we had a pool in our house, that part would sound luxurious at least. The room is big though. It's a pretty nice room.
Yeah, wow. Let me get the keys to that room when you guys move out.
Yeah, no, this would be a decent apartment in Washington Heights right here.
Oh, you guys have the vibe. What's the blue orb?
Oh, you see that? You see that little light?
Yeah, what is that?
We got candles.
Is that Alexa?
That's a light. We got candles lit over there. Well, fake candles lit over there.
Fake candles, yeah.
Yeah, we got a little vibe with Marvin Gaye playing in the background. I'm about to get Natalie.
That's what got you into this mess. That little vibe with the Marvin Gaye in the background.
Why are you saying they played that at NYU's IVF office?
You need a new vibe.
What? So what is the birthing playlist?
It's my playlist that I made a while ago. I've had it for a couple of years now, actually.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of compliments.
Every time I have this playlist, it was the playlist we listened to like during cocktail hour at our wedding. It was
wedding.
Yeah,
the wedding. But that was Quartermain DJing songs from the playlist.
From the playlist, yeah.
But it's Natalie's famous champagne and chocolate playlist.
Yes.
And it's basically all like soulful 70, I would say it ranges from like 1970 to 1985, sort of like R&B soul kind of vibes. And I got to give it up. Everyone's complimented her, and I like feel terrible that I can't take any credit for the good DJing, but the vibe, she's the vibe master of this room.
And it's like sequenced perfectly and all of that.
It's really good. It's strong.
How many years has, what is it called? Love and Champagne?
No, champagne and chocolate.
How long has Champagne and Chocolate been in existence and curated?
I'd say like 5 years now. Wow. 5 or 6 years, yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. Hold on.
What is that a contraction?
I think it's a contraction.
The raw GM? The anonymous GM chime in?
Natalie, you having a contraction?
I don't know. I can't feel my legs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't the point that she can't be?
Yeah, no, that's a contraction. That is
I want her to do the he who thing.
Well,
a couple of hours away from that, probably, right?
Is it?
Oh yeah, it sounds like we're anywhere from, I would say, from what it sounds like, if things went crazy fast, we'd be like 8 hours away, to where if it goes what they expect, we're probably more like 20 hours away.
Oh, you got to be ecstatic because now you can possibly do Saturday Night Main Event and you can do Royal Rumble.
On the way here, I was like, "Oh, babe, I guess maybe you can go." I
said to her last night, ask her, as God is my witness. I said, "Babe, I'm going to be honest. I just decided. I think I'm ready to say Saturday Night's Main Event is a no-go, and we'll see if the Rumble can happen." And the next day, the baby was like, "You will not miss Saturday night's main event."
Yeah.
It looks like the baby could debut at number 1.
The baby could be number 1.
Rockin'
Rumble.
Robin Rosenberg is happening.
Yeah.
We're getting Rockin' Robin Rosenberg.
Well, guys, I'm gonna go get this lady some coconut water. I'll let you continue. It felt like there was maybe. I thought for a moment Dip and SGG would get into a huge fight over SGG, suggesting he's into the idea of a third Cody Roman, but I'm glad you guys didn't go all the way down the road. So I don't want to get in the way.
We passed over it real quick.
A third Cody Roman is happening. They are going to complete the trilogy. It's going to be a WrestleMania trilogy. And if they got to do it this year, I'm down.
No, we're good with that. Please don't aggravate Natalie
Sorry.
right now.
Sorry,
we have to keep her peaceful.
Look, she's smiling.
Natalie,
Loves it.
Natalie, let's ask Natalie the most important question
What?
before she gives birth to our child. What did you think of Penta? Penta was the guy who debuted last night.
Oh, I thought he was pretty ill. I was into it. I like him. He seems like a great guy.
He's a great guy.
I'm obsessed with Penta.
Well,
I
Of
love.
course. It's on brand now. It's on
He's
point.
got
Yeah,
face paint.
No,
he's got a
he's on the
crazy
Netflix.
outfit.
and by the way, and his
He's on the
talking,
Netflix.
His talking was.
his talking was
Yeah.
pretty good.
I mean, listen, most of it was in
Why didn't
Spanish.
they ever give him a mic?
Yeah, I was
I was
impressed.
going to say that. I was going to bring that up. That I think that's where AEW missed the mark with him, where he should have had a microphone a long time ago.
Yeah, interesting that's what they
What
decided
did
to
he
do.
say at the end? This is the Penta era.
Yeah, the pet. No one thought on this episode of Cheap Heat that a woman laying in the hospital bed about to give birth would say, "This is the Penta era." You
I
didn't.
mean, a little TMI with a fucking balloon in her cervix.
Oh my God!
Nice. I like that she's sharing right now. You continue to share.
Yeah. By the
If
way,
you
this
want,
This is
I
the
can run up to the
Penta
hospital.
era.
I have a Penta mask. Do you want me to run it to the hospital
Oh.
and she can wear it as she's giving birth?
that would be
You
Mage.
want that?
I got it. And now, by the way, if Natalie's first LJN figure, it came with Rocky and a camera. The next one comes with Bear and a cervix balloon. It's going to be, let me tell you, everyone's going to need this in their collection. All right. We love you guys. We'll keep you posted.
Love you too, man. Bye now.
All right.
Stay Mage.
Just push.
Pushing and pushing and
Just
pushing.
push.
Good
Just
luck, man.
pushing and pushing and pushing. Oh man, could you imagine we did a Patreon exclusive where we just filmed the birth and we just give it to the egg everything's?
I have no issue with that at all.
I think it's great too. We see if we planned this better, we could have had a whole camera crew there and they could have filmed everything.
No, the egg everything's don't want to see the
What?
birthing canal and the whole.
Why not? Why not? Judd Apatow filmed it on what was that movie with Seth Rogen?
Knocked
Judd
up.
Apatow?
Knocked up.
Knocked up.
Apatow's
He
out of
actually
his
filmed his
mind.
wife giving birth and used like clips of it in that movie.
Judd
Just-
Apatow is
we could've
out
moved.
of his mind.
All right, so let's talk about Penta more because I definitely want to get into that. Now, have you guys ever really watched Penta outside of WWE?
Lucha
Was
Underground.
not in
Underground,
AEW. I was going to say Lucha
COL.
Underground.
I
No
saw him.
AEW?
I saw him live at Lucha Underground in LA. MVP actually took me to a show. I was the first time I ever met MVP. Rosenberg was like, "You need to go meet MVP at Lucha Underground." I'm like, "Okay, sounds good." So
I think you talked about this on this show. Like,
did
so
I?
long-
I don't remember if I ever did.
I remember you coming on the show talking about
Did you
it.
call
I-
him MVP? Or did he introduce
I did.
himself by his real name?
No, I called him MVP.
Okay.
What was I?
I'm
So,
just making
by the way, it
sure.
was a very nice experience at the time. It was in like a giant warehouse.
And
Was
they
it
take
Boyle
your cell
Heights?
phone too, right? They put
I don't
it
know
in
where
a
the-
bag or something, right?
I don't know where the hell it was or what it was, but it was much smaller in person than it looked like on TV. But I did see him there and I thought that he was just fucking awesome. Okay. And then I watched him in AEW. Always thought it. I mean, I think I gotta be like Ray Phoenix. I think is one of the greatest living wrestlers on earth. And I thought he and Penta were a tremendous tag team. And hopefully they'll be reunited at some point. But I will say that nobody in WWE looks or feels like Penta. He feels like a completely new, different type of thing, And I not to lump together all the lucha guys, but he does not feel like anything. I mean, he feels like a separate entity. I hope they don't just lump him in with other lucha people. It doesn't feel like they're going to based on what we saw last night.
But that WWE polish, man, that they put on everybody, I was curious to see how they would present Penta and how they would make him jump off the screen. And yeah, everything from the entrance,
the walk is the razor, the Scott Hall walk. Sick.
Just short little taste that he gave us of the walk. But I mean, I hope they lean into all of that.
But this is what has been on TV for almost 5 years. Like before.
I know, but it's interesting to see it in a different place. That's all. Of course,
I think so.
And it's definitely, it wasn't presented this way. Like his entrance,
the fire is made.
He hasn't had an entrance in AEW that looked like that.
Yes,
he's doing a lot of the same with the fire.
Yes,
the fire.
Yes, he's had pyro in AEW. He's also had pyro in Mexico.
Pyro and fire is not the same thing. Pyro and fire is not the same thing. And
fire was shooting out. You could go back and watch AEW papes where he is on TV and you're seeing fire. I'm just saying.
I didn't have the same production value. I mean, come on. It did not.
Listen, nothing has the same production value. I understand that. I think it was a great way to do it. I love the fact that, his kids were front row and he got to hug them and embrace them, and they were filming the reaction to the kids when he was wrestling. I thought the opponent that they handpicked for him was spot on. Flawless. You do not get a better performer in Chad Gable. I love the way he sold the Canadian Destroyer. I thought that looked really, really good. The crowd was into him. San Jose was perfect for it. It was the perfect crowd for San Jose. It really worked. It worked really well. The merchandise that they're rolling out already is incredible. So it's a cool rollout plan. And I think Dip is right. I don't think they're going to lump him in the category of other lucha wrestlers that they have signed to Raw and SmackDown. I don't think that's going to happen. I think when his brother comes, you're going to see just full throttle. And I would like to see them have World Tag Team Championships in there.
I don't think so. No, I do. I kind of like Penta as a single guy, though, too.
Well, for the time being, for the moment, he has to be a single guy.
Yeah,
for the moment, because his brother's contract is still tied to AEW. So who knows when he gets released from that, because they tacked on time because of the injury that he sustained. So who knows? But his brother was the one that had the singles run in AEW. So that's another dynamic too. Could we see a brother versus brother kind of thing in WWE if they do sign Rey Fenix?
Well, just before we get deep into this conversation, now's a good time to bring up this hot take, and I feel like we know where everybody's going to land on this, at least with Sparks, because we did want to jump into some hot takes this episode too.
Thank you for sending those in our Discord. If you have not yet joined, please become a patron, sign up. We send you to Discord. You get to hang out with Greg. He dips around. You see us all.
And you get to throw in hot takes every once in a while on episodes like this. This one comes from Streamin' Joel. Hot take. Most people that hate AEW don't watch AEW. And it's proven every time someone moves over to the WWE and the fans all of a sudden are fans of them. This Penta conversation, I feel like, is the perfect time to dig in on that hot take. It's layered too. It's layered.
I agree, because you've seen it all. The cap was crazy all over social media last night, and it's still crazy today. It's like they've never seen this guy before. It's like you just didn't have 5 years of TV to watch.
It's possible. It's possible that some of those people haven't seen him, right? Because there's, I don't know how much crossover there really is between the WWE audience and the AEW audience at this point.
Oh, there's more than you think, Greg.
There's more than I think, but there's less than you think, I think.
So may I? So clearly they put him on TV last night to appear with Chad Gable to appear big. Okay. Yeah. They're not. I mean, they're talking. It's interesting what they're going to do with him, because they're talking about him as like he's the second best lucha. I think basically Michael Cole said it last night, like,
because Rey Mysterio is the triple OG. He's the greatest lucha.
Of course, he's the greatest lucha. Yeah. He's the greatest lucha wrestler of all time. But they said this guy's a close second. So they are talking about him like as a lucha wrestler, and he's dressed like one and whatever. But he's so gigantic that, like, compared to other lucha wrestlers, that it's going to be interesting how and what they let him do. The moveset was already, I'm using the word moveset, was already different than other people that we see in WWE with lucha movesets. Like it felt
more
different.
technical.
Right. So my question is this then. Do you guys think that we're not going to see him wrestle a traditional WWE-esque style and he's going to do the lucha Penta thing that we've seen in Impact, CMLL, and AEW?
I hope so. I hope he brings the big guy lucha style to every match that he does. I know I'm sold immediately. I'd love to see him at the top of the card right away. I mean, this guy he's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I think. Look, everybody wrestles that WWE style, right? He's gonna get to shine and showcase his stuff and do what he does. He's gonna get his shit in, as they say. But it's gonna be done the WWE way. I think there's no doubt about that.
It was a good match last night. It was long. It showcased a lot of interesting, spots. Chad Gable's obviously an amazing wrestler, but it was clear they put him in the ring with Chad Gable to make him appear big.
Dare I say the best match of last night?
I would say it was probably match of the night for sure. But there's also a ton of stuff to go watch. So if this is the first time you actually have seen him, congratulations, you're in for a treat. But there's so much stuff that you could see him on. He was in MLW, he was in AAA, CMLL, PCW Ultra, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Ring of Honor, AEW. So there's a lot. You can definitely do your Googles. I think probably the best showcase would probably be AAA and I want to say Lucha Underground. So if you can find Lucha Underground, definitely watch because he was on a tear, breaking arms and just taking souls. And it was probably the best way to, especially in that world and what they did and how all the storylines connected. That was a really good way to highlight him. But yeah, Greg, you're right. There is definitely this thing though where if you're on AEW and you're not and fans are like, oh, I don't know who that guy was. Oh, now he's here. Well, why didn't they present this guy the way he's getting presented here? It's always has, I like to call it, new car smell, for the first time.
There is something to it, though, right? Because, look at a guy like Lexus King. It wasn't just new car smell. It was a completely fresh coat of paint. Some guys didn't get that absolutely rebranded and redone. Like, some people came in ready-made, like CM Punk. But I think there is something to it. And I think it does work both ways where, when somebody leaves and they're headed out the door, the AEW fans all of a sudden are sour on them. Because I think about a guy like a Malakai Black, who is rumored to be leaving AEW. People are speculating that he's going to be on his way back to WWE. His wife is still there. And suddenly there's online takes of, is he washed? Is he this? Is he that? And I think it's just just par for the course online with the toxicity.
Well, I think that was par for the course before too, though. You got to remember there was rumors about back injuries and him not wanting to do jobs or whatever the case may be. Quick question. We'll put it in the Discord as well. Let us know. Re-debut at Royal Rumble. Malakai Black.
Possibly sooner than that, but I think Royal Rumble would be the if he in fact is gone, right? If you're available right now, Royal Rumble is where everybody wants to re-debut. Whether it's Matt Cardona, Malakai Black, anybody who's on their way back has to have their eye at a Royal Rumble surprise entrant.
If he is out, this is the prime opportunity to give Brody King and Buddy Matthews singles runs in All Elite Wrestling. So, and watch what they have been doing.
They're already doing that. I mean, you saw that with the Buddy Matthews Will Ospreay match last week, and the Brody King's been on a singles tear for weeks.
Well, since the Continental Classic. But if he's gone, and House of Black is no more, do we keep them as kings of the Black Throne, or do they just go off and do their own thing? And now Julia Hart's back, so they could be a really interesting trio. But I would want to see, and I think it's time to give a guy like Brody King some sort of singles title in All Elite Wrestling. And I think the perfect guy for him to go against would be Danny Garcia. And I think for the TNT Championship. You mentioned Matt Cardona. Did you guys see the clip that's going around of Cardona on Helwani?
I did.
No.
Okay.
I gotta watch
I'm going to read you. I
was just texting with Helwani 2 seconds ago. He's a great guy. Okay.
Do you call him by his first name, or do you call him by Helwani?
I go Ariel.
Ariel? Okay.
Yeah.
I call him Ariel Helwani.
So this is the clip that's been making the rounds. If my music hits at Royal Rumble, the place would explode. The roof would come off the place. Social media would explode. I move merch. I know that, but I haven't been offered anything. Now, a lot of people have been commenting on this, and I want to know what you guys think, because I think Matt Cardona has had his finger on the pulse for many years. If you remember, he was the first wrestler to really dive into the YouTube space with the Long Island IZ, the Internet Championship, things of that nature.
Was that before or after the Miz and Morrison?
That's a good question. I think
if it was after,
it was after. It was
in his rap. Capping his rap with the first on the YouTube, because they had the dirt
as
sheets.
a wrestler as the first. No,
Yeah,
as a
they had the
wrestler
dirt
doing vlogs and continuing to do like this, like vloggy-esque content. That's the first time for me a wrestler ever did any of that.
Miz and Morrison were using YouTube though before him,
right? But they were using that as a vehicle on TV. This was him. That creative had nothing for him, bro. So this was him, like, kind of like using self-deprecating humor and snippets of other wrestlers coming in and no-selling him, and like really using comedy
to try to get on TV.
Yeah,
though.
Right. But to me, I think he's such a interesting professional wrestler. And even when they had that wave of releases, that first wave during COVID, I think what he was able to do was reinvent himself to be taken more serious, where he just wasn't woo-woo and it. He started to go on an indie tear, and I think the match that really put him on the map was against Nick Gage, because a lot of people thought, well, he can't do that style of match. He's a WWE guy. And then Matt was bloody, battered, and beaten.
To me,
showed that he can hang.
Just looking at Matt Cardona, bigger picture, I can see he's not Cody Rhodes, but I could see he's done the grassroots work at this point long enough and strong enough to where I could see he's got the look. Look, we all know Matt Cardona, of course, but like he's got the stature, he's got the vibes, he's got the charisma to come back and be a massive star in WWE, like just the way Cody was something plus at the very most during his first WWE run, then comes back, becomes the biggest star in the company. I think Matt Cardona could come very close. How's that for a hot take?
If you're gonna make me say it, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna drop a hot take. Although everybody probably knows exactly where I'm going with this, and this take is not going to be that hot. Zero interest in seeing Matt Cardona back in WWE.
Why though?
On a week-to-week
why?
basis.
He's so good.
Zero interest, and here's why. Right?
Why not?
Because he's gonna come in, and I don't see him at the top of the card. I don't even see him at the top of the mid card.
Did you see Cody Rhodes at the top of the card when he came back?
No, I did not. But this is a completely different Cody Rhodes than the Cody Rhodes that left.
This is a different Matt Cardona.
Different Matt Cardona than the Cardona that left. But I think that the Cardona that comes in, even with those changes that he made in GCW and being more seriously, even if they use his name Matt Cardona and they don't flip it back to Zack Ryder, I do not slot him in above a Gunther. I don't slot him in above a Braun Breaker. I don't slot him in above a Jey Uso.
Not now.
And then when you start naming these names, and he goes further and further down the card, why is he even back? He's not back to be like a Shawn Spears,
right? But you're forgetting
come back.
Right, but you're forgetting anybody.
Where he is.
Right, but you're forgetting anybody could get hot at any moment because of the booking. So if they're coming in and they're signing him, you don't think they possibly could give him? He's held every belt already, so it's not about having.
They're not going to look. They're not going to sabotage him, right? If they sign him, they're going to position him to do well. But like I said, in my mind, he's not a guy that I would slot in above a ton of guys to the point where I don't think that I'm going to have room for him.
I'm going to go crazy here, okay? And I'm just going to say
this. What we want.
Let's say it's Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, or it's Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk at WrestleMania this year, okay? Cody Rhodes ends night one or whatever with the championship in his hand.
Got to be night two, but all
right, night two, whatever. And as he's holding up the belt, Matt Cardona's music hits, and Matt Cardona is the guy that confronts him at the end of WrestleMania, and the two of them are face to face, and that's how WrestleMania ends. I'm not saying it's what people. That's how you can immediately set him up to be a top guy, a big star, if he's confronting Cody Rhodes at the end of WrestleMania. I'm not saying people want to see it. I'm not saying you want to see it, Greg, but that's like, it's immediate. It's like you give Matt Cardona that spot, big star instantly in the title picture.
But it could be anybody. It could be anybody you do that with. You give anybody that spot.
And Greg's into long-term storytelling, so it can go back to when he was dating Eve Torres, and then Torres and Cena kind of shared a little smooch, and he was heartbroken and he felt bad. See, you can all go back to that.
That's not really long-term storytelling.
I know. I'm being silly because that's what people say on the social. Hey, long-term storytelling. Dip, I think you make a really good point. Anybody could be a made person at any point, and I think that's a really good way to set the tone for a guy like Cardona. I like Cardona. I think he's extremely talented. He has a very good business mind. His toys, the guy started with Brian Myers, a toy company, and the toy company does very, very well.
I have Powers of Pain right back there. I got my Powers of Pain.
He started a wrestling podcast about action figures, and the podcast does very, very well. So he knows how to tap into what the fans want. And again, like I said, in that first round of releases during the pandemic, it really was 3 guys that showed you can be a thing outside of WWE, but you have to put the work in and you can't just go off your name. And that's Gallows and Anderson and Matt Cardona. And Cardona really pushed the limit because he went off and had to do the journeyman thing to the point where he won the NWA World Championship. So I like him. I think Cardona has wherever he goes, I think he'll be in a big way. So Greg, do we got any more hot takes?
Oh, so many hot takes. You mentioned the pandemic. You mentioned COVID in that first round of releases. Let's take it back to COVID with this hot take. TZ Robinson, 21. AEW was better during the pandemic. Which, I don't know. Is that a hot take?
I'm watching AEW week to week again. I was like off it for a second. I'm now like on it, whatever. I'm watching it every week. It's very entertaining, dude. I'm sorry. It is. I like, if you're watching it week to week and you love wrestling, you're gonna love it. I'm sorry. It's very entertaining week to week. It is. Sorry, it's true.
Who are you apologizing to?
You.
I don't need your apology.
These haters are crazy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, there's issues. There's issues.
Was that hate though? Was that hate that AEW is better during the pandemic?
Yes, they're saying it's not as good as it used to be. So
I mean, that doesn't mean that it's awful.
You can't debut. AEW was amazing for the shock value a few years ago because of all the debuts and all of this and all of that. Okay, you obviously can't debut people every week. The emphasis is not on the story necessarily; it is on the quality of the wrestling and the wrestling matches, and they've made that very, very clear to us. And you have a few guys in there that can still tell an amazing story. The MJFs, the Chris Jerichos, frankly, I think Will Ospreay's. You have Kenny Omega. You have these people that can tell these great stories. Some of them but the emphasis is on the wrestling. And if you love to watch crazy, marquee, marathon, like in-ring matches, it's an incredible presentation. Right. Forgetting how big the crowd is and blah, 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 blah. It's like I'm like getting sick of the AEW hate. I'm sick of it. I'm getting sick of it.
Same. As somebody who goes to those events and sees them and did the whole out-of-state ones as well, the energy is really good, especially when there's like a pay-per-view. When you show up to a pape for AEW, first off, it's always packed. And the energy's crazy.
I was at World's End. It was nuts. It was Greg, you love watching live wrestling. I will tell you, the crowd for World's End wasn't as big as the crowd for another pay-per-view at WWE. It was almost as big. I think there was, I don't know, I want to speculate on the number of people that were there, but it felt big. And it was a wild, raucous, crazy wrestling crowd, which is what we all love. It's not the same thing as WWE. They're not trying to do the same thing. It's just a different presentation.
The problem with this take is it's vague.
How is it vague?
Saying AEW was better than the pandemic, it doesn't get into the why. So it leaves room for like a little bit of projection. And I think even Dip, right, with you saying they can't do these big debuts and things like that, maybe that's what he preferred during the pandemic, like the shock value and not just settling into the good wrestling.
I don't think it's a vague take. I think there's validity in it where if you want to compare, if you are a wrestling
because you have to say what
fan,
was better, right? what was better? You
Well, if
can't
you're a
just say
wrestling
it was
fan,
better.
if you're a wrestling fan, right, your brain is programmed to the way WWE has done things since the 80s, right?
Not necessarily.
Wait, but hear me out. There is a blueprint to how wrestling television is booked, presented, and highlighted in this country and around the world because of WWE or WWF or WWF. There are things that every company does. And I worked for MLW for a little bit. I seen it. It's all the same because of it's that wrestling TV show blueprint. It's the wrestling TV show blueprint.
Is that because it works or just because WWE does it?
I think it's just because it probably works and they're not copying WWE. I just think they know, okay, this was tried and tested. So if it worked for them, it's going to work for us. And it just carries over by osmosis through the years, right? So I think if you're programmed to just this one particular way of televised professional wrestling, it's going to take a while for you to feel a type of way. And it seems like, this hot take was, they were really into AEW when it first started. They loved it, and Dip makes a point where, it's not for the casual fan. You have to be one of the sickos to sit there and watch it week in and week out because it's about the wrestling. But what they're doing is they're also telling their stories. And I think guys like Swerve Strickland and
MVP
Hangman Page, MVP, they're telling really interesting stories. Christian is another one. What they're doing with Konosuke Takeshita has been really smart. The storytelling for him, they're building him up. He is the international champion, and he's also the never openweight champion in New Japan.
I'm not there yet.
You'll get there. You'll get there. We'll get you there.
I got to go in a second. I got to go. So I'm not to interrupt you. One more quick question, and then I'm going to go, and then you guys finish up.
What's the outfit tonight? What are you wearing, buddy?
It's a very luxurious. This is a very nice sweater.
So that's it. That's what you're wearing tonight.
Well, it's freezing outside. So, and I'm actually worried to leave my house, but I'm going to leave for an hour. I have to go.
Please.
I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm worried. But I'm going to leave for an hour, and let's pray to God that the winds in Los Angeles do not pick up tonight, and around, especially in any area. Let's hope that they do not pick up again. Let's pray.
Could you check in with us when you get home, please?
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's everything's supposed to start up again overnight, but let's pray that it does not. Let's see that. Hopefully the forecasts are overblown, but I don't want to say that. God forbid.
One last take while we're on the AEW kick from Stevie Ray. Not that Stevie Ray, just a Stevie Ray. Maybe that's Stevie Ray though. I don't know. Edge should join the Death Riders and have Kenny Omega be the true hero for AEW.
I don't know about that. I will say, but I'll say about Kenny Omega. I never loved how Kenny Omega was positioned in AEW since the moment he got there. To me, Kenny Omega should have been like the ethereal being, the unbeatable. You barely see him. He's the champion, for a certain period or whatever, and is like the unbeatable final. He should have been the final boss of AEW. And
the way they presented Roman was how they should have presented Kenny Omega.
I agree.
It's shocking that they let WWE sort of beat them to that, because like Roman got the title, and then not that Kenny Omega needed the title to be this person that you didn't see, but he was like above what was happening.
Above it all. Yeah.
He should have been, like you said, the god of AEW. But continue, Dip. I don't want to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say. He's it just now like he's back, and I thought it was like a slow to move thing. Like he came back at World's End, and then he went and wrestled in Japan, and some casual fans didn't see that, and then now he's sort of back, and it's unclear about what's going on. Like I don't know. I just Kenny to me, I'm not just that's a restate what I just said, but Kenny Omega to me should be the final boss, and he never really felt like that in AEW.
Yeah, I agree. And, removing Cope or Edge from the whole Death Riders thing, I think if this is for the soul of AEW, right, and people need to save AEW, Kenny Omega probably makes the most sense as the guy who's going to come in and quote unquote save AEW. And this is probably a storyline that they should have done a while ago, like when people from WWE first started that wave of coming in and him having to be like, hold on. But he wasn't healthy. He is now. And I think that this take has some legs. I'm going to go ahead and agree with that. removing Edge from it and joining the Death Riders, I think Kenny Omega as the savior and the hero that AEW needs, I think it's a strong take.
As far as the Death Riders, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm yet to see something that exciting with Edge too. You know, I'm not. I've never been an Edge head. It's interesting to see him on TV every week. I'm glad that he's back. I want him to be in something really meaningful. I'm not 100% sure the Moxley thing is working for me, but I'm giving it a chance. I'm watching it every week. I'm excited to see where it goes. Stay mage and enjoy yourself too.
And stay safe.
Dude. Yeah, thank you.
That is the great Brian Dipperstein. I don't know what he does for a living, but he's a great guy. Great guy.
It's a good job. It's a good gig. It's a
you think
gig.
He makes good money? You think he makes good money?
Yeah.
Do you think he invests in XRP because it's at $2.67 right now a coin?
No idea. Honestly, I think he's richer than crypto. I don't think.
Do you dabble in the crypto, Greg?
This is a wrestling podcast. We got one.
Well, according to but if you listen to Talking Shop, they talk about wrestling and crypto all day, bro.
I take that. I really definitely want to get. I wanted to get into this with Dip.
Let me. I have some insight on this Omega Death Riders thing, and the Adam Copeland of it all. I don't think you need to have Cope in the Death Riders because I think you can't have two big dogs running roughshod, right?
Yeah.
I think that is Moxley's crew. That is Moxley's Kliq. That you just leave that specifically for Jon Moxley. You can have Adam Copeland try to be the conquering hero to take back the soul of AEW because he loves the place and he loves professional wrestling, and him and his buddies are trying to do the right thing. But does
it make sense for him to be that guy?
No.
Does it make sense for him in that role?
For right now, just to keep the storyline going, it could. Now, the guy has always been and should be Kenny Omega. Whether you want to call him the final boss, the heart and soul of AEW,
the one-winged angel.
The one-winged angel. He is the guy. And I do agree with Dip. If you had to make your first world champion somebody, I would have had either two choices: Cody Rhodes or Kenny Omega.
Yeah. Jericho's a solid third choice, but to me, he is the third choice.
Right, but I understand why they pulled the trigger on Chris Jericho because again, your first champion should have name value. They should be recognized. So I understand that. And yes, Jericho, and this might sound crazy because the way people don't like him now, but he was a vital cog in the early days of that AEW machine. And you can't take that away from Chris Jericho. But yeah, I think Omega is that dude, should be presented as that dude. And since Darby Allin has to take time off because he wants to go climb Mount Everest, I think you immediately push Kenny Omega to go against Jon Moxley for the championship. And when they do, is it Revolution in March? I think it is Revolution in March in Los Angeles. Kenny Omega should be World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, he had an incredible return to form match at the Tokyo Dome against Gabe Kidd.
Yeah, I agree because like the Death Riders thing, they need to come up as AEW does need a hero. Who they finally cast as the hero that actually does get it done.
Kenny Omega.
I think it matters, and it does. It should be Kenny Omega. It matters a lot. The wrong person getting cast in that role is, I don't think it's going to be super. I don't think it's gonna be fatal. I don't think it's gonna kill how people think of the storyline or anything like that. But it does matter, and it is important, and it should be Kenny Omega.
Right, but I think too though you could have Cope take an L, and it's not gonna hurt him if you're building your, as they call them, the pillars or your next up and comers to go after the world championship. And if they just get steamrolled by Mox right now in order for Darby to get that big win, I think that hurts the guys you want to build, right? That don't have that cushion to be like, you know what? I get it. It's not going to be so bad. Cope is that guy where he could take that L and he'd be fine. Christian can take that L too. And you got to remember, Christian still has the contract. So, again, I understand why some people are like, I don't want to see these old dudes be world champ. But in the storyline, it does make sense if they were going to go into the direction that Darby Allin was going to be the champ. Had
why
they
is
not,
he doing the Everest thing? What's that?
I
with
don't
the
know,
Everest,
bro.
man?
Some people just have things that they want to do, and Darby's always from how he's presented on social media has always been some sort of adventurist and extremist, and he beats to his own drum and wants to do his own things. And if Tony Khan's allowing him to go climb a mountain, then I guess Tony Khan allows him to go climb that mountain. But it does put on the back burner months of TV that you were building up to this monumental moment where he should have been the next AEW World Champ, and then Christian Cage could cash in and then steal the championship, and then that's how you get Mox out of the picture, and then you can have this back and forth between him and Christian, and then he wins the championship from Christian. That was one option. But since that option doesn't exist no more, give us Kenny Omega. Have Kenny Omega become the world champ. Mox can go take some time off, and then you can set up the dream match for the championship against Okada and Omega, and you run that back from the Tokyo Dome. But you do it in an AEW ring.
But they need to be in. They need to give us Tokyo Dome level Okada and Omega.
Of course
too.
they're gonna. You don't think they're gonna?
To do that? I think it's a possibility that they might bring a little less heat on it, but they need to go full throttle 6-star Okada Omega.
Look, dude, I read.
That's another conversation. That's another.
I read a thing.
Close it out.
I read a thing where Okada had a conversation. No, not Okada. I'm sorry. Omega had a conversation with Moose, and he apologized to Moose that he didn't give him the 5-star match that he felt Moose deserved during I guess it was during the time when Kenny Omega was also Impact Wrestling champion, because Kenny had a hernia, and then symptoms of diverticulitis that took him out a little, a year or two after that. So now that this guy is healed and he's ready to go, you saw a sliver of the best bout machine against Gabe Kidd. You don't think that they're going to turn up in the home promotion for the richest prize in that company?
I don't know. I got to see it to believe it.
Who hurt you, Greg?
I got to see it to believe it. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm saying they need to do it.
Okay.
Now, let's close it out on this one. Marshall T94. The Kliq is the most important group / faction in wrestling history, and it's not close. And I agree. Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, 1, 2, 3 Kid, the most important faction in wrestling. In front of the curtain, in the ring, it's debatable, right? Because you have a lot of other great factions in ring. In ring, you could throw it. I would throw it to the Shield as the most important faction in wrestling history. In ring, but he didn't just say in ring wrestling history. He said in wrestling history. That's the business. That's the entertainment. That's all of it. I mean, look, Shawn Michaels trained Daniel Bryan. Triple H is running WWE right now. Triple H was on creative, shaping WWE for the past, 25 years? The NWO gave Hulk Hogan his second act. That was Scott Hall and Kevin Nash along with Hulk Hogan. Hogan gets a lot of the credit because he was the face of the faction, but that was them. That was in WCW. That was in WWE. And just in terms of NXT and coaching the next generation of wrestlers, you have Shawn Michaels down there right now pushing it forward. And that is to say nothing of how influential all 5 of them have been on the generation of wrestlers that came after them. That includes like a Seth Rollins, the Young Bucks, countless other people, Batista, Randy Orton, so many guys and women, men and women, so up and down the card, all these different promotions, just influenced by their style of wrestling and what they brought to the table. I'm agree with it 100%. It's not close. Most important factions, the Kliq.
It's an interesting take because, again, I think these opinions are so nuanced and they're so, in the weeds in regards to how they feel. Because, again, it's a personalized take. So everything is subjective. I don't know. What I do see the influence in, and one of my favorite things is when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash would talk about the money.
Mm-hmm.
And, who made this or why they make this. So they made the money conversation that was taboo at one point.
They changed the way people's contracts
changed the
were.
culture of how contracts should be.
Yeah.
In terms of influence, yeah, their branches are all scattered across professional wrestling. I wish the conversation or this take was a little bit more finite in regards to, is it just from a kayfabe perspective of professional wrestling, or is it what they did behind the scenes in professional wrestling? Because I think they're very influential behind the scenes. They're extremely influential.
Well,
so again, I can't say if they were the most, because again, there's the Horsemen, there's the Shield, there's the NWO. So it's really
that's when you separate out that's when you compartmentalize the different aspects of wrestling. And I think that's the beauty of this take, is that it's just like, no, wrestling, all of it, the business, the in-ring, the impact on the future, the cultural impact. People still say suck it to this day.
Yeah, they do.
All of it.
But that was more DX, though. That was more DX.
That's the Kliq.
That's the Kliq. But again,
that's the Kliq. That was Sean.
Kliq.
That was Sean and Triple H doing that.
But that was also DX, though.
Before X-Pac shows up, before Road Dogg and them show up, Shawn Michaels and Hunter Hearst Helmsley are telling people to suck it.
Right, but the Kliq wasn't a wrestling stable. So
no, and that's the beauty of the Kliq. Those five men. Five men.
So the question should be this.
Yeah, so they get credit for the NWO shirts too that we see everywhere. That's right. The Kliq. It's
right.
All
but what the question should have been, what the question of the take should have been, instead of saying faction, they just should have said these five brothers are the goodest of good brothers because of what they did for the landscape of professional wrestling down the line. Instead of faction, because if you're talking about factions and stables, that's where it gets a little choppy. Because they never were an official stable. They were just guys that used to ride together. When were they ever an official stable?
Never on screen. And that's the beauty of this take, because that was them backstage.
Okay.
Running things from the business back end. Because fans would show up and say, I'm in Sean's Kliq, with signs that said, like, I'm
because he would call it the Kliq. Sean and the Kliq in 96.
Fans would show up with the signs. They had their hand signal. And even when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash went over to WCW, Sean got on the mic very soon after their debut and said, don't confuse expansion with extinction. It's two of us over here, and it's three of them over there. When Hogan got rid of 6 and sent him packing the WWE, he found his home right in DX, and the ball kept rolling. So we can argue like,
we could grasp at straws here. We could grasp at straws, but no. I think in terms of influence, what Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Hall and Nash, and X-Pac have done is remarkable, and it changed the landscape because there are tentacles and branches of each one of these guys everywhere. So yeah, I think that's spot on. And for the most part, again, it was all about, to me, the money. Like, you're making this? Oh, we got to make this too. Oh, we got to go to Vince. Oh, Vince, this is what you paid this one, but you can't pay me this. This is what WCW is offering us. Could you match it or give us $1 more? If you give us $1 more, we'll stay. But if you can't, we're going.
Then they went. They did the exact right thing for them.
Yeah. But do we have any more, or are we done?
We might have a couple of more. Let me dip into the vault to see what else we got. Main man. He said, does my too many beards on the roster qualify? I think it does. There's a lot of beards. I don't think it's too many, but that's definitely a hot take. And I'm biased.
Beards are like contour for men. You know what I'm saying? So like,
exactly.
I can shave my beard and still have a very, very pristine jawline. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I could sacrifice a beard and still have one, but I think a beard does give you an edge, because if you remember, how many baby faces were clean shaven back then, and then how many bad guys had beards? Rick Rude had the mustache and a 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, it was the heel beard is a thing, but I mean, in this era, it's a looks business, and the beard is the way.
Beards just make you look pretty.
Yeah.
Beards, that's it. I mean, Greg, you don't need a beard because you're almost in your 40s and you don't have a wrinkle. Okay,
the beard,
you're a beautiful man.
I
okay?
appreciate that, but the beard is staying.
Is it?
The beard is
you know what we should do? We should bet our beards during Mania. We should pick the card and put our beards on the line.
I support
Dick
you.
Don't have a beard
doing that.
Why not? So wait, if the three of us say we'll bet our beards, you ain't gonna come in and do big beard talk and bet your beard on WrestleMania? Oh, come on. It'll grow back in a week.
No, this is not going on the line.
You don't even have a full beard. You have a chin strap combo that goes into a goatee.
It's not going on the line. It's
Why?
not. Nah. This is staying.
I've seen you without a beard. I met you when you didn't have a beard.
Yeah, and you're one of the lucky ones that get to experience that. It'll never happen again. Not this decade. That was last decade.
I think you're just too insecure about your wrestling picks to put the beard on the line.
No. Not with my tribal chief and still competing.
Who has a beard.
Exactly.
Listen, we appreciate all your hot takes. Keep them coming. Keep that thread open, man. I think I really should sign up to the Discord so I can start answering some of these. But
yeah, we got to get you in there, man.
Yeah, I've never done a Discord before, so I don't know what it's about.
Ours is toxic. Yeah, I come in there. I'm throwing grenades all the time.
Now, you seem like, I mean, you do it on social media anyway, and it blows my mind. And I'm like, this toxicity of Gregory S. Hyde, the greatest legal mind in the history of legal minds. But keep the thread going. Greg will answer some of them, probably piss a lot of y'all off. Maybe I'll sign up for it, and we'll do that as well. I'll come say hi. Other than that, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. If you can, write a review on iTunes, however you support this show. Say nice things. Say mazel tov to the Rosenbergs having their first child. Talk about how Greg Rockin' Robin Rosenberg, Mae Young Rosenberg, whatever the baby's name is going to be, we definitely think it's going to be a professional wrestling name. It just seems like it. Request the chocolate and champagne playlist because I think we all need that. Valentine's Day is coming up, and we all want to set the moods for our significant others and partners. I think that's the perfect playlist to do so. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel. YouTube. We need the love. We're trying to really let our numbers grow over there. It's a really fun community. So come say hi and hang out. And our Patreon. Where else are you going to get videos and live up to the moment hospital updates than on Cheap Heat?
I think you might have convinced them.
You have to. Come on. Listen, there might be a birthing video. Knowing Natalie, there's a photo shoot going on.
Oh, yeah. There
has to be
on the way for sure.
I guarantee you the dude that did their wedding video, Andy 2, is so good. I don't know if you've ever seen Andy's work, but the video, if you go on like Natalie's page, she posted it. Peep the work. I would love to see them do a social media video for the birth of the babe. I definitely want to see that. But yeah, send the good vibes to Pete and Nat. Send the good vibes to Dip. And you know what? Send the good vibes to your two East Coast good brothers, the Hall and Nash of Cheap Heat, Emilio Sparks.
We're the ones who stayed with it today. Send the most good vibes to us.
For us, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to send us some monies as well, hey, you know what? You can do that as well. Greg has a patreon.com/StayMage. Send us the money. We love you. We appreciate y'all. Greg, take us home.
Stay Mage and take it easy, man.